A short answer from my perspective. Believe me, I'm not speaking for the President of the Senate nor the other two senators here, because half of what I say might be wrong, but I know this. The theme this year is going to be cut, 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 cut. We went through a special session while we did some pretty unpalatable things that, in my opinion, had to be done, and we raised the T word. We had to raise revenue. And we made a significant number of cuts in the budget during the regular session last year. There will be, in my opinion, I'm speaking for myself, there will be no tax increases this year. I will not support any tax increase this year for anything. We've done that, now we have to dig our way out. And there's going to be pain felt by everyone in this room. They're already talking in Baltimore City about picking up trash once a week instead of twice. And now, oh no, you can't do that, we're going to have rats. Well, we do it twice in the hour. We have recycling, we have the trash. But we're all going to be looking at things. We have winter bearing down on us right now. If we have a nasty winter here, I don't know where the money's going to come from to plow your roads and salt your streets. But when we get to Annapolis on January the 14th, everyone says, what are you going to focus on? It's budget, 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 and how we can reduce our expenditures to match the revenues that we have coming in.
We differ on a lot of things. We do agree this is going to be a year of cuts. I'm the ranking member on the Appropriations Committee. That means that I help coordinate Republican activities on that committee. And as I've said that, in about $4 will buy you a Starbucks. But anyway, we, over the last several years, because you could see this coming, this is not something, I mean, it's deeper than we expected, I believe, but nobody had their head totally in the sand and didn't know that this recession or this economic downturn was coming. So in the House, we put forth a proposal to limit state growth over the last couple of years. We have suggested that should we limit the growth over a couple of years, we could grow ourselves out of our problem. That was not the choice of the leadership. The choice was to raise taxes. And as a result, according to the Tax Foundation, Maryland has now, we were hovering around 24, 25, 26 in worst business climate, and we've been doing that for years. And this year, because of all the taxes that were raised, we dropped like a rock. We are now 45th worst business climate in the nation. In terms of our personal income tax, we are worst. We are number 50. Now, you know what? I know being top of the heap is good in test scores, okay? It's really good to say we have the highest test scores, you know, in the state. But let me tell you, when you have the highest income tax in the nation, it's not a good thing. Our sales tax that was raised, we're 6%, okay? And people say, wow, that's great. We're going to be competitive. Pennsylvania has 6%. They don't tax clothing. West Virginia has 6%. They have other exclusions. Virginia, D.C., Delaware has none. We are top of the heap in sales tax. Do you know there's not a person in Maryland that does not live more than 45 miles from a border? We are a small state. And do you know how easy it is to go to Pennsylvania to buy clothing or Delaware to buy almost anything else? You know, it really is a problem for our state when we make policy decisions that force people to patronize businesses in other states. The state raised the cigarette tax. We are now one of the highest in the nation. You know, you can buy cigarettes in Virginia and get it a little higher if Vinnie DeMarco has his way. You can actually make a trip to North Carolina and make it worthwhile. I mean, we really have to look at what we do. One of the proposals that was put forth was to tax computer services. Fortunately, we got that repealed. It was a lot of effort to get it repealed, but we got it repealed. My husband gets his computer worked on by a guy in India. You don't have to be in Maryland to do that work. We have to be smart about what we do. And I don't see taxes being raised. I am concerned there may be fees raised because there's this penchant for spending. Even with raising the taxes as was done, we are still $1 billion a year short, even with slots factored in for the next 5 years. That's huge. And so we have met the enemy. He is us. Healthcare is a very big thing. Maryland has one of the highest number of mandates of any state in the nation, which is one of the reasons our healthcare costs are so high. The legislature put a 2% tax on HMOs. My understanding initially was HMOs were to help control costs, not to be a tax source for the state, but that was done. You know, pushing a lot of these things to businesses is, I think, a problem. It's something that should be between the business owner and their employees. I personally, this is not speaking for the legislature, but I think that people should have ownership of their own policies. I like the idea of the high deductibles. I like the medical savings accounts where people can make choices about their health care. I think that we can limit costs in health care when people begin to look at the cause and effect of decisions they make, and I think we can control it that way. So I hope we can get more ownership of health care. I think that was one of the things you all had in your white paper, and I think that's a good idea. It also, if people can own their own and businesses want to help contribute to it, I think that's a great idea. But it allows people to have the portability they need, because in this economy, people don't stay with a job for 35, 40 years like my father did. And we need that flexibility. So I think there are ways we can begin to control some of the costs. But I think we need to get people more involved in those decisions and making their own choices. So we'll see what happens.
I'll try to be a little bit briefer. No, it's all right. I would just, we could talk about healthcare forever and still not come up with the right solutions. I would just say this, that we had in this wealthiest state, and you may say, well, that's not my problem. I provide for my family and my employees, but we have thousands of people without health insurance. We have children dying because of lack of dental care, because they have an abscess tooth, and that's unacceptable in this county, in this state, in this country, in the 21st century. You are paying, I am paying, every time I go to the hospital, an exorbitant amount of money, a higher rate for hospital care, because we have an all-payer system, and we're paying for those folks who don't have health coverage when they go to the hospital. So you're paying one way or the other. All we're trying to do is find a reasonable way to provide reasonable health care for more people at a cost we can afford. We will talk about this every year in Annapolis, and I wish Delegate Pendergrass was here, because I don't profess to be an expert in health care. That's certainly her field. But I know it's a difficult thing. We talk about it all the time, and I don't have the answer for it. I really don't. No one wants to say, I pay those, I get higher premiums. So I'm on Medicaid right now. No, Medicare. And I get Social Security. So when I see my Social Security, more of my Social Security money going in to provide for my Medicare, it concerns me too. But that's the cost of the business. We do have great health care in this state. I'm concerned about my primary care physician right now, who's put up with me for a lot of years and who's responsible for my healthier condition right now. But she's struggling right now to pay bills, as most primary care physicians are, and will she one day soon become a boutique healthcare provider? And that's not good for me. I don't like that. It's happening, but that's the nature of healthcare. And just saying that 2% is the sole problem we have to deal with. That's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of healthcare in this state and this nation.
Back in I believe it was the early 90s or maybe late 80s, the Linos Commission talked about restructuring our tax, because we're no longer a manufacturing-based state, and we are a service-based, and they've been talking since then about doing it. So I suspect that that's still going to be on the table. It's just who and when. You know, it's the old thing of picking off one at a time. You know, I don't fight it because I'm not part of it, and next thing you know, you are part of it. So I think we need to be vigilant.
I guess, being the total realist that I am, the table is always full of lots of things to pick from. Is there an appetite for taxing services? I don't think so. Not after what we went through on the computer tax. I think we were trying to do a bold, courageous thing. At the same time, it was a stupid, dumb thing that we did. But at least give us the credit that we corrected our mistake. That shows we can be lobbied and we can do the right thing, and we did that. I don't see anything, again, this year, no new taxes this year I will not vote for any. But will it happen 4 or 5 or 10 years from now? Who knows what's going to happen?